That sound can mean one thing and one thing only. It's time for Campbell Corner on Pioneer 90.1. Yay! And by the way, we're the only radio program featuring a public library that's broadcast in color. It's true. Right, Charlotte? Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
It's very colorful here.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Extremely. How are you?
I'm good.
Charlotte Helgeson, director of the Campbell Library. Lots of things to talk about. We'll narrow it down to, 3 this afternoon?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. The first one ties to the weekend coming up, a holiday for many people, and because of that, will you be open or closed on the weekend?
We will close at noon on Friday and close Saturday and close Sunday.
Okay, reopening on Monday.
That's right.
At what time?
We will open at 9 a.m.
On Monday morning.
Yes, and from what I understand, Grand Forks Public Library will be open on the weekend, Saturday. Yes. And so if you need something in desperation, they are available to you, but our library will be closed.
Is that a competition thing going on here?
Nope. That's
No?
a balance.
Okay.
It's a balance.
Just checking. You never know. All right, that takes care of item number 1. Item 2, I see PLA, which stands for Public Library Association. What about that?
They had their conference in Philadelphia this last week, Thursday, Friday, and I decided to do the virtual format instead of trying to fly out there and get a hotel room and, incur all that cost. It was a fantastic conference as far as I was concerned, considering a lot of people didn't make it because of the weather. Missed flights, late flights, all that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to bring forward, which I found interesting, I have never heard this in my, 2+ decades of working in libraries, is whether you're designing a program, a building, working with a group, the first thing in any design project should be empathy. Now, this is a professional association. This is a group of people who've been trained how to do these sorts of things. Now, even if you're talking about the supplies and materials, who will use them? Why do they use them? Why are they in the library using them? That is an interesting twist, I think, to the services we're providing.
If I can add this, I've used that method for many, many, many years in radio, and the reason why, as I go on the air and I'm wondering what people might want to listen to, what they might find entertaining, informative, whatever, to do that, I put myself in their shoes, which gets into the empathy type category, right?
That's right.
What are they thinking? What do they want? Where do they want to go? So understand that philosophy. That's great.
It is. It's a really good approach, and especially people who are new to any profession.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that necessarily comes naturally, and you may need to practice it. But I liked it. I think it worked well with all of the different presentations and the fact that it came up more than once.
Good. Now, you mentioned virtual. What kind of definition is that? How is it virtual?
That means that the presenters put their materials on the computer so you can see it instead of being given a piece of paper as you walk in the door. They're talking over the computer so you can hear the conversation. On the left side of the screen, there would be a chat area. So you can write in a question or answer a question, respond. Okay. They also have surveys that would come up during a presentation. If you were sitting in a room of 100 people and they'd say, how many of you libraries out there still charge fines? And we would raise our hands. Well, you can't do that in a virtual world. So they would have a survey that would pop up on the screen and say, how many of you still charge fees and fines?
Cool.
So it's fun. People still chat an awful lot. even when it's a virtual world and they can't
Yeah.
see each other, a lot of, hello, how are you doing? Good to see you there from New York. I'm glad my old library is involved. So sometimes it can be a little distracting for those of us who like to do one thing at a time.
Kind of a blah, 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 blah deal, right? Yeah. Okay. All
But
right.
but I enjoyed it because I can sit in a comfortable chair. I can turn the
Sure.
volume up or down. I don't have to wait until someone recognizes my hand up in the air to ask a question. I can type it, and it goes into the queue, and somebody will respond. So I really like it, and it's compared to the fact that I could have spent probably $1,500 trying to get to the East Coast hotel, all of the business that's required, versus $250.
So you're saving the city money.
Tons of it.
Good idea.
And sticking around and still being able to work.
There you go. All right. Wonderful. So it's virtual reality in library work.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're really good at it, too.
Well, that's good.
Libraries get it.
All right. And Campbell's part of the PLA?
I am a
Well, you
member
are.
of the PLA.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. In good standing?
So far, yes.
So far, so
They
good.
haven't thrown me out yet.
No rules have been broken yet.
Mm.
All right. So we've covered being closed this weekend, the PLA. Number 3, new books, one of my favorite topics. We've been doing this now for about 3 or 4 weeks. And you have how many
Yes.
books with you today?
I have 2 books.
2 books. Okay.
There is a large stack of new nonfiction sitting on Julie's desk in the back room right now, which is so tempting. So be aware that within the next day or so, they will be out on the shelves, on the new shelf. So you can come and take a look at all the new topics. But
Okay.
the first one I want to share today is bringing back our freshwater lakes. Now, being conscious of how we take care of our world, being conservative in how we take care of our trash, these are not new concerns. This is not information that we haven't heard in some format before. But I haven't seen a book that has put them together well, in that, yes, we have to take care of our world. Here are some of the solutions, and this is what we actually are accomplishing. So it's a very positive book instead of the, why don't you do this better?
Okay.
Which I don't like that approach.
More positive looking. Yeah.
Much more positive.
And this book highlights a natural resource that the state of Minnesota has plenty of.
Yes, so it
fresh
caught
water,
it
yeah.
caught my attention. So yeah,
Okay.
bringing back our freshwater lakes. So they have been beautiful in the past and clean, and people have talked about the fishing was different. My kids used to be able to swim there. We could walk out from the beach. Can we get back there? This book makes it sound like we can. It's written by Lisa J. Amstutz.
Oh, yeah. I'm stuck.
It's actually part of a series called Conservation Success Stories.
Oh, great. And that's brand new?
It's brand new.
I can see it and smell it. It's brand new. That's great.
It's adding to all the color in your studio here.
I like that, the spring look. We need that today. My goodness. So
Oh,
that's book 1. Book 2?
Book 2 is from, it's a collection of books about people, so biographies. And oftentimes when someone gets to be a household name, if you say it, everybody knows who it is, you remember only all the good or all the bad,
True.
Which-
That is very true.
which does not make them very human.
Yeah.
So what I like about this particular book, it's called Louis Armstrong,
Satchmo. Yeah.
jazz musician,
Great
subtitle.
musician. Yeah.
But I think that title's a little bit misleading because it talks about his entire life. Now, how much do you know about Louis Armstrong besides his ability to play a good song?
I know someone who would. Our very own Pat Ladine Dunning, who is host of Jazz and Stuff on Wednesday nights at 7 here on Pioneer Radio. Louis Armstrong. She plays a lot of Louis' music.
Oh,
Yeah,
I really enjoy it. But there was one little piece in here about where He didn't do the legal process to adopt a boy, but he had a cousin who had had a son, a tragic way to enter into the world, but this child needed someone to look after him, and Louis took it on himself. He didn't ask for assistance to do it. He didn't go through the legal process. He knew family needed help. I had never heard that story before. So he took care of Clarence, which I think if you read this story, you get to know that, yes, he's a fantastic musician, but he was a real human being, too. And there's a quote from the jazz documentary producer Ken Burns, which we all recognize that name, too. He said, Armstrong is to music what Einstein is to physics.
Oh, my.
And the Wright brothers are to travel.
That's high praise.
You immediately responded when I mentioned Louis Armstrong with some of his own language.
Yes.
He created words
He did.
that have become part of what we use on a regular basis.
I'm trying to think of that method of singing that he developed. Scoop up dee bop da bop bop.
Yes.
He'd make it up.
That's
but it fit. It fit.
It did fit.
Mel Torme did that 2 years ago, the singer. Do you recall Mel Torme?
Yes, right. Scat.
Scat. That's
Scat.
it. Scat.
We got it.
Bingo.
Woo.
You win the prize behind door number 1 today. Scat.
He had such a huge influence, and all he wanted to do was share and be a good guy and let his music tell the story of people around him. He had a lot of trouble in his life, and it isn't to try and persuade you that he was a good guy or he was a bad guy.
He was human.
He was a real person.
There you go. You're closing Friday at noon?
Right.
Reopening on Monday morning, next Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Closed on Saturday and Sunday. And to find out more about this great treasure called Campbell Library, what can folks do?
They could call at 218-773-9121.
Right, got it.
Go to the library at 422 4th Street or the website, egflibrary.org.
I may be in trouble for saying this, but happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Yes, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
I'll be gone next week.
Oh, you'll be gone next week.
But I'll try and find us
I'm
up.
glad you warned me. Yes, maybe Mel.
We'll see. Wouldn't that be
talked to
great?
Mel for a while.
All right, we'll work on that.
Campbell Corner every Wednesday at 3:05 on Pioneer 90.1.